Hey, it's me, Tutorial Clone again, and you might be wondering, where have you and the crew been? You haven't posted anything for almost a year. Well, don't worry about it. Anyways, in today's video, Normal Isaac's gonna do the whole retrospective and stuff. I'm gonna do my little art project. Last two episodes, we made Boba Fett's blaster, Boba Fett's jetpack, and this time we're gonna make Boba Fett's armor. But this time I'm not really gonna be able to narrate the thing, because I got places to be, I got things to do. So I thought I heard something. Anyways, hey, it's me, Normal Isaac again. Don't ask me what I'm doing in my basement.
Isaac, what are you doing in your basement?
Nothing. Anyways, in this video we're going to take a look at the finale, just because the last episode in the series is, it's really the lasting impressions you have. It can sort of change your entire view on something. Fortunately, this episode is quite consistent with the rest of the show, meaning that it's pretty boring. The episode starts with us getting a better look at the bar that was blown up in the last episode, and I just want to say, take a look at this scene.
That was fast. Were you able to hire any foot soldiers?
I think so. Cobb Vanth is raising a garrison for us.
What price did you negotiate?
Free.
Free?
He's been holding off the spice trade single-handedly. I told him we could shut it down.
That's not free. That's most of Jabba the Hutt's business.
That's what the town wants.
You'll notice that Boba Fett has nothing to do here. If you fast forward a couple of minutes, you'll see Fennec explaining the plan. Couldn't Boba Fett do that? Even better, why can't we have a couple of scenes demonstrating why he's such a feared bounty hunter and how he plans to defeat an enemy with a numerical advantage? I'm gonna talk a little bit more about Boba Fett's character problems here in the end of the video, but first we gotta continue with the episode. We get to see Cad Bane talking with the Pikes, and it's cool and all this in the show, but the problem is he just in the last episode was dragged into the show from nowhere. He's now supposed to be the main villain. Since he's only been in the show for less than 6 minutes, there's no real way they're going to be able to build up any meaningful conflict here, you know. Obviously, it's been in other stuff, but his dynamic with Boba Fett has never really been a gigantic thing, you know, but this show had potential to explore that a little bit. You know, the two episodes before this were objectively the best in the series, but, you know, one had practically no Boba Fett in it, and the other one literally had no Boba Fett in it, so it's, you know, nice that at least he has this episode to himself. Alright, seems like they didn't have any more ideas what to do with this show, which isn't even that long, by the way. But that raises the question, why even make a series for, you know, a long time ago I sort of heard some rumors about a Boba Fett film that could have been cool. Alright, so Boba Fett and Cad Bane has this little bit of a classic standoff, and you know, why don't they just shoot him, you know? I mean, you three you could just shoot him at any moment, really.
I've got back shooters too.
Alright, that explains it. He's got sharpshooters. What are you talking about? The Pikes are literally shown to be incapable of harming these people, so, you know, I don't really see how this is a threat. I mean, these two guys have Beskar, and Fennec could just sort of hide behind the pillar if necessary. Wait, here, the sharpshooters are getting away, and he's turned his back to him. You could just sort of shoot him right now. I mean, would end this whole thing a lot more quickly, and probably in your best interest. Alright, the attack begins with all these other groups which we don't really get to know much about, which is kind of boring. And there's a whole lot of action, but if you take a look at these scenes, you'll notice how slow everything is moving. There's no real energy to anything, and the enemies just make themselves into clear targets. You know, probably would have been good if Boba Fett had given these peaks any blasters, but he didn't think about that, I guess, so they die. Out of these three little short battle scenes here, the one with the Vespa gang is probably the best one, because it just involves blasters and no real physical movement or anything. It's just kind of boring still, because there's no real structure. They just shoot at each other, and then the Fennec shows up and wins the little skirmish. Then we get treated to the most obvious stunt in film history. I mean, how did he even fall out the window here? Might be a doll in this shot, actually. Then the Pikes arrive, but instead of starting the fight immediately, they're gonna do a little bit of negotiating. The only problem is that we know that they're obviously gonna start shooting soon, so what's really the point of this? Well, I guess it was a good distraction. Anyways, we get to this scene, and same as before, there's a noticeable lack of structure here. What I mean is that just things sort of happen without any real thought from the characters, especially the Pikes, who, for some reason, just kind of run right out into the street. They're not gonna try using any other weapons like grenades or rocket launchers, and by the way, in episode 2 we saw the Pikes be able to hit people from pretty far away in a fast-moving vehicle, and you know, here they can't hit the massive parts where these two characters don't have any armor. Another thing that's pretty consistent with the whole show is that Boba Fett constantly forgets that he has a jetpack. You know, you could just fly out of here if you wanted to. Then the Freetown people come to help, and how did these guys get shot before the vehicle turned around the corner? You know, that doesn't really make much sense. Anyways. Go, go,
You know, it's a film for 12-year-olds.
The Vespa gang come to help out, and what are these guys doing? They're just sort of standing there. They could easily hit a couple of these people, but they guess they don't feel like it. Then the Pikes bring in these droids, and I don't really remember what they were called, but I do remember that these are supposed to be really powerful, which sort of begs the question, why didn't they start out with these? Should have been pretty, they could have sort of just sort of walked behind the shields, sort of be safe from the blaster fire, and probably would have been pretty good. Alright, quite a few people were probably involved in the making of this scene, I'd imagine. They sort of had to write it, they sort of had to execute it, and then do the visual effects and whatever, and I guess most of them thought that the droids missing from like 2 meters away was somehow believable. Best way to phrase it, I guess, is that it's real silly. Now, a lot of people think that this spin move is sort of unnecessary, but what you didn't account for is that, with friction and stuff, when you move quickly, it sort of builds up heat, and, it's in this situation, it sort of made the blaster more powerful, actually. Hey, look at that, they sort of did what I suggested, and the Freetown people just sort of show that they have clearly no regards for their own life, because they just sort of move up the street without, trying to get behind a corner or something. Not that it really matters, because none of them throughout the entire battle is hit once, Like I said, that's it's quite silly. Alright, we actually got a good scene here with Din Djarin, and he gets to meet Grogu again, and the problem is that this probably should happen in The Mandalorian Season 3. Alright, Boba Fett shows up with the Rancor, and the way the show was going, the way it was paced, whatever, I thought they were gonna spend a little bit more time with the Rancor after it was introduced, so I have a couple of scenes of him riding it, bonding, whatever, but that didn't happen. It's a bit interesting how effects from 1983 look better than what we got now. I know this is a TV show and all, but should probably give people time to, make the best thing they can. Alright, Cad Bane's back, and they sort of fight a little bit, and Boba Fett wins. Wow, you remember the part when Cad Bane said,
I've taken down so many clones over the years. Once you figure out one, the rest are easy.
And then he gets defeated by one. Can you believe it? Or how he just said,
This is my city. These are my people. I will not abandon them.
Like the Tuscans.
But it's a Tusken Raider weapon that actually ends up defeating him. Wow, and I say defeat because it's not really like 100% that he's dead. We see this little blinking thing here, and if I'm gonna be honest, I don't really think the writers know what they want to happen. I think they just added this little blinking thing to be like, just sort of give them the freedom to, in the future, sort of bring him back, and then be like, look, we foreshadow it, as you can see here. And if they don't bring him back, you just be like, the blinking didn't really mean anything. Also, Grogu gets a couple of scenes where he just does the same thing twice, which is just kind of weird inclusion, because he shouldn't even be in the episode. Then the Pike leader, or whatever position of power this guy held, he gets killed by Fennec. I guess the main character of the show couldn't have done that. It's all well and good though, because everyone's happy. In the post-credit scene, we see Cod Banth. He's still alive, because why not?
Hi, it's me, Tutorial Clone. I just want to jump in here and explain this part because it's a little bit confusing.
You don't gotta worry about that. The Book of Boba Fett. Out of every single planet in the Star Wars galaxy, you make 90% of the show take place on Tatooine, a location we've seen since the first movie. Obviously, there's other problems with the show too, like establishing a whole flashback story which just sort of abruptly ends, or how some parts of the show just sort of feel kind of cheap,
Just take a look at this robotic arm.
It looks about as believable as my robotic hand, not because this is fake, it just sort of looks fake, it sort of looks like it's made out of cardboard and tape, but no, that's not. It's just the welding technique used. But the biggest problem with the show is just Boba Fett's character. He's kind of boring. If you take a look how he acts in the beginning of the series.
You should have let them carry you on a litter.
I'm not being carried around the streets like a useless noble.
It's a sign of power to the people of Mos Espa. They're used to seeing the Hutts paraded around the streets.
And then how he acts in the end.
Why must everyone bow at me?
Well, it's better than shooting.
Are those my only two choices?
When you run the town, it is.
I mean, he's exactly the same. Obviously, you don't really need a character to always develop or change much in the story, but when you have a series that is it's about a specific character, just one specific character, you sort of need something. He's never really had a big or strong personality in, Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi or anything, but you can sort of tell that they don't really feel like the same character.
No disintegration.
As you will.
he was down in the Sarlacc pit for a while, and I guess it's implied that it was probably changed by that quite a bit, but you know, kind of a boring way of doing it. Obviously he was with the Tusken Raiders for a while, but all they did was kidnap him, so I don't really know. That's not really very compelling. And with Cad Bane, it would have been a lot better if you just introduced him earlier in the show. You just let him and Boba Fett's sort of the rivalry sort of build up and establish it a little better. And yeah, it would be pretty cool to just see them use their intellect to sort of outmaneuver each other, outsmart each other. We're pretty cool. You know, the show has gotten a lot of backlash, so if you're really gonna make a season 2, I just hope they learn from their mistakes. Oh yeah, also the music, we can all agree that's it's pretty alright. By the way, there's Boston Dynamic robots here, it's kind of funny. Alright, what do we have here? Well, we have a blaster cannon on this arm. Then we have another blaster cannon on this arm. Then we have the knee cannon right here. And all that's left is the jetpack, so bye.